Kimberly. Hello, Pumpkin Patch. Thank you for the follow. Hey, Mia. Hello, Boss Man. How are you? Hey, HJ. Doing good. Hey, Beverly. Tonight is Paranormal Wednesday. You tell me the story tonight. Hey, Magic Moon, it is. Hey, Mary. Your turn tonight. I just want to sit back and relax. Those of you who are in YouTube, welcome in. Let's get some tapping music going here. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. Hey, don't judge me, love. Hey, Bling Queen, how are you? Got those scary stories ready, those bumps in the night. Let's start sharing the live. Friends, family, 5 friends, 10 friends, 15. Sky's the limit. Thank you. Hey, Nikki. Who's got those stories ready? I want to be scared. Hey, Shirley. Thank you. Let me shut it down. Well, you know what? Hold on. Not yet. I'll do it in 4 minutes. Why, thank you. Hey, Miss Jester. How are you? Happy birthday, Jess. Hey, Spitfire. Australian girl whose favorite night is paranormal night. It is. My birthday is tomorrow. Thank you, legend of the 80s. Nothing, Nikki. I am doing absolutely nothing. Zilch, nada. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to take the day and just do nothing. Doesn't that sound delightful? True crime is your fave, Spit, Brian? Yeah, I like true crime too. Hey, Roby. Hello, how are you? That's Lips Girl. You hear that? Someone asked me and I'm like, nothing. I'm doing nothing for my birthday. We'll celebrate this weekend, but I just want to sit, watch true crime, eat whatever the hell I want, and just sleep. If I want to. I am craving cake so badly right now. Thank you. Watch Penny Dreadful? Is it good? I have never seen that. Hey, Jareen, welcome in. Bam, drop the mic. Green. Train. Green. Long to the floor. Kind of a satiny, silky material. Feels amazing. I love green. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Lulu, thank you for sharing the live. Hey, Missy. How are you? Hello, listen me now. Genius, I'll take it. Hey, WW Murphy, let's share the live, let's get it out there. Let everyone know that there was scary story time on TikTok. Hey, Firefly. My bottle. Hey, Curry. Who's ready for some scary experiences? Mine does too, Melanie. Don't feel bad. It typed something the other day and I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. Hey, Sally Ann. Hey, AJ Cab. Welcome in. You have stories tonight? I don't want to do a lot of talking. I want you to talk. Hey, Pamela. Let's keep one of our lovely night watchers in our thoughts and our prayers tonight. He might be here, I'm not sure, but let's keep James in our thoughts. I am doing lovely, Penny. I am doing just lovely. Wasn't that great content today that Julie did? Grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, chocolate. Hey Gracie, welcome in. Let's start sharing, tapping. They really do, Shirley. I've got the best group of moderators that anyone on TikTok Live can have. Thank you for sharing the live, AJ. Now, I do have a story already chosen for the purposes of waiting until someone comes up in the box. When you do, I will stop the story. Hello, Danis. How are you, darling? Hey, Bad Kitty Pop-Tart. I love your name. For some reason, I picture a Pop-Tart with, like, blackberry frosting. I guess it's because of the black kitty, I suppose. Thank you for the gifts. Don't forget, we've got a big night next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. What's the big thing? Chris Netzel, Official Paranormal, is going to be here, and I am interviewing him. Do you remember how much fun that we had with Set to Paranormal? I just cannot get over him. I think he is the most darling man. But Chris is coming in the seat, the hot seat, and I've got the questions ready. So don't miss it. Mark it on your calendar. Next Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Who's already turned down the lights? You have me in. Hey, Jester, are you liking these guitar riffs? Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Hello, Rose. How are you doing, darling? Aw, thank you, Bobby Johnson. I love all the colored hearts. Thank you, Awakened Buddha J. How are you? Welcome in. Are you really, Sandra? Oh, that's good. Thank you. I'm glad you're listening to it and I'm glad you're enjoying it. Welcome, night dwellers, to the night realm. I am the Night Queen, and this is Paranormal Wednesday. I have a story picked out, but I want you to keep those boxes lit up all night so I'm not able to read one chapter. Don't worry, it can wait till next Wednesday. But first, let's get ready for story time. Do it with me, if you like. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light that candle to chase away the shadows. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. We will wait a couple minutes, talk amongst yourselves to see if the box lights up immediately. If it doesn't, I will start a chapter. Tonight, we are visiting the great state of Illinois. Who in the house is from there? The story tonight is the McPike Mansion. Have you heard of it? Did you really, Rose? I hope you enjoy it the second time around as much as the first. Hey, Siamese. Don't be bashful, night dwellers. Come on up to my throne. Hey, turtle woman. You been there, Siamese? I'm getting ready to work on that. Hey, Laloo. You like The Haunting of Hastings House? Wait till you read The Haunting of Keller Estates. In The Haunting of Keller Estates, I was ready to spread my wings and do what I wanted, what the darkness was calling me to do. We'll wait one more minute. You are not interrupting me by coming up in the box. For those of you who are just coming in, welcome. Tonight is Paranormal Wednesday on Twisted Tales Live. Tonight, you share your paranormal experiences, those ghostly encounters, those things that went bump in the night. Welcome, my precious night dwellers, to another journey into the abyss where reality bleeds into nightmare. I am your night queen, and tonight I shall weave for you a tale so bone-chilling, so utterly terrifying, that it will seep into the marrow of your very soul. High atop Mount Lookout in Alton, Illinois, where the Mississippi River carries away the screams of the damned, stands a mansion that defies the natural order, the McPike Mansion, a Victorian monument to horror where the dead refuse to rest and the living dare to stay. This is not merely a ghost story, dear night dwellers. This is a chronicle of possession, of souls trapped between worlds, of a house so saturated with supernatural malevolence that it has been deemed the most haunted location in Illinois. I only choose the scariest. You're welcome. For over 150 years, this red brick fortress of fear has collected the spirits of the dead like a spider collects flies in its web. Tonight, I shall take you inside its cursed walls. But first, let me show you a picture. It is a beautiful old mansion that has fallen into terrible disrepair, but it is spooky. I love the man screaming. What do you think? This shows the red brick all better to perfection, I think. Here is a group of people visiting the mansion at night. It just screams haunted to me. Does it not? Chapter 1. The Foundation of Darkness. How does evil take root in the place of beauty? The year was 1869. And Henry Guest McPike chose the highest point in Alton for his grand estate. 15 acres he christened Mount Lookout. A successful businessman and a two-time mayor, McPike commanded architect Louis Weibenberger to craft something magnificent and terrible. I would say that he succeeded, would you not? A 3-story Italianate Victorian masterpiece with 16 rooms and most ominously a vaulted wine cellar that would become the epicenter of supernatural terror. But McPike built upon cursed ground. The Underground Railroad ran directly beneath the property, and the anguish of those who suffered and had passed seeking freedom seeped into the very foundation's stones. When McPike died in 1910, witnesses claimed that the temperature in his death room dropped 20 degrees. The mansion had claimed its first permanent resident. Who has a story to share? Come forward. We want to hear it. Chapter 2. The Boarding House of Shadows. What happens when desperation breeds darkness? In 1925, Paul Lassinger purchased the estate and converted it into a boarding house for desperate souls. The tenants whispered of children's laughter, echoing through the empty halls at 3 a.m., and footsteps pacing endlessly on the second floor. Miss Henderson had rented a room above the wine cellar. She told Lassinger of a woman who sat on her bed each night. She smells of lilacs and weeps. But when I turn on the light, there's only the scent of her perfume, and my pillow is wet. Thomas Milligan was found one morning staring at an empty wall. When his wife asked him what was wrong, he said, "The man in the striped shirt won't stop watching me." He gasped. By 1945, Lassinger was dead. Another soul claimed by the mansion. But tenants swore they could still smell his cigarette smoke drifting through the halls. As I began to go deeper into my research, Henry Guest McPike liked the paranormal. He believed in the realm beyond the dead. His servant said that he would go up at night to a balcony, to one of the peaks on the top of the house, and stand and look off. Sometimes they would ask him questions, and Mr. McPike would not respond. It was as if he was looking at something. Although the vantage point at the top of the house gave a breathtaking view, acres and acres of land and rivers, he seemed as if he was staring somewhere else. One such servant said, "From the moment that I walked in that house, I didn't like it, but I was desperate for money. I had 2 kids, and Mr. McPike told me that I could stay there with the kids. I was given a room that was above the wine cellar. I was only there for a couple weeks. I know when something's bad. I know when something is wrong." When they asked her what it was that was wrong, she said, "Screams. So many screams. Crying. I heard one woman say, 'You made it this far all the way from Georgia. Don't give up on me now.'" Mr. McPike even reported hearing things. Footsteps. One night he had a servant to light the fire in the large fireplace in the grand room. It was cold outside, bitter cold. In fact, a lot of the servants reported that it was always cold, no matter the time of year, no matter the season. He ordered the servant to light the fire, but the fire kept going out. So he told him to light it again. It went out again. And then there was a whoosh of wind that came through the hole into the room. The only thing was, no windows were open. Was it a ghostly draft that kept blowing out the fire? There's also accounts from the boarders who stayed in the house after Paul Lassinger purchased the estate. One woman claims that she was there. She woke up in the middle of the night to do her business. As she opened the door and walked out in the hallway, she saw a woman with dark mahogany skin, wearing a long dress with a pinafore over it. And she had a hat, a straw hat on top of her head. When the woman looked at her, the ghost looked at her just as strongly, even so much as to draw in to where she can see her better. And then she asked, "Have you seen Toby? Have you seen my boy?" The woman was so shocked that she shook her head. The voice had been perfectly clear, perfectly understandable. She responded, "No, I haven't seen Toby," with which the woman broke down in tears. Where's my boy? Where's my boy? And the woman took off down the steps. The woman ran around the corner to try to catch her. But she was gone. Chapter 3. The Descent into Abandonment. How does neglect feed the darkness within? After Leichinger's death, the mansion stood empty, but far from lifeless. No one bought it after Leichinger, and vandals came in and absolutely destroyed it. Took every piece of furniture, knocked holes in the walls, grabbed everything they thought was of significance and perhaps of some worth. Doorknobs that were brass and crystal, windows were knocked out, everything was taken, mirrors. The house looked like a former shell of what it had once been. And it stood empty. The vandals stripped away the physical beauty while leaving the corruption behind. But many who entered as thieves left as believers. Oh yes. First person, Jenny Morrison. She broke in with her friends in 1952. I personally did not want to do it. In fact, I told my boyfriend, I said, I don't want to break into that house. That house is too pretty. But he wanted a car because his car was about to break down. He said that we could go in there and get a few things that would give us some money. He wanted to go to California. He thought he was good looking. Looking back on it, I don't know if he was all that good looking to be on the movie screens. Anyway, he finally convinced me. I said, all right, I'll go in. From the moment that I walked on the property, I knew it was wrong. I could feel it. I remember Johnny looked over at me and he said, Jenny, no one is going to see us here. Now come on, we got a short time frame. I just remember how dark it was. The moon was big and full. I remember that. We stepped up on the porch and I heard piano music. I swear to God above, I heard piano music coming from upstairs. And I turned and I looked at Johnny and I said, Johnny, this house isn't empty. Someone's living here. He looked at me like I was crazy. There's no one here. Look, there's no lights. I know what I heard. I heard piano music. It was beautiful. It was haunting. It was playing Beautiful Dreamer. The only way that I know about it is my grandma had a music box on top of her mantle in her kitchen. And I used to hear that song. I guess what frightened me more than anything was as Johnny was downstairs and moving things around, I kept hearing this piano music. I walked down this long hallway and it was dark. The only thing I had was my flashlight. It was so clear. I could hear it so clear. It was so tangible. It sounded like someone was playing the piano in the room down the hall. But when I walked down to the very end, I had looked in every room. There was no piano. I don't like that house. I didn't feel good about it from the moment I stepped foot on the property. And then I heard it again. And then I heard applause It was like a phantom audience, y'all. I swear. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever encountered. I begged Johnny to let me go, to take me home, that I didn't want to do this. He said I was a fraidy cat. Maybe. Something's wrong with that house. There's things there. Things that play pianos, and there's no piano there. Local children have reported very spooky things too. Faces in the windows. One vandal, a Marcus Chin, had quite a story. Shall I tell it? Let me know in the comments. Yes, I want to hear it. Well, Marcus Chin was an orphan. He had been an orphan since practically the day he was born. His mother died in childbirth, and his father was nowhere to be found. When he was 15, he was cast out of the orphanage because he was, well, a troublemaker. Always getting into things, stealing things from the nuns. So they cast him out. One day he was out walking. It was beginning to snow. The wind was frigid and cold, making him shiver. His shoes were not the best quality, neither was his coat. And a man who had seen him on the street gave him a hat. He said, "Hopefully this will cover your ears so you don't get frostbite." Marcus began to wander out of the town into Alton. And there, the late afternoon, as the sky was a deep, dark gray, pregnant with more snow yet to come, he saw a house on a hill. It looked like the windows were boarded up, some of them. It looked abandoned. Marcus was freezing, so he walked the lonely trek up the hill. When he got there, he was happy because no one was there. He walked inside. It was in terrible shape. Holes in the walls, tiles ripped out of the kitchen. And then he thought he heard someone say something. He listened. It sounded like someone had called the name Sarah. Hello? He was freezing. He said that his lips were so numb. Hello? He walked over to these stairs and looked up. There was nothing. He walked upstairs and looked at his domain. This is where he was going to stay until he was chased off, as was always the case. The house must have been something beautiful and grand in its day. When he walked in and began examining the rooms, he found brass doorknobs, chandeliers that were laying on the floor. Some of it would probably fetch a pretty good price. He walked into another room at the end of the hallway. It was a large drawing room. The fireplace was massive. He had been cold for 3 days. He walked back outside and looked around for wood to light a fire. It was wet, but it was worth trying anyway, so he did. He brought the firewood in the house, placed it in the hearth, and lit the fire with the box of matches that he found on the floor in the kitchen. It was starting to get dark now. The moon was big and full. The wind was blowing through the trees. He had nothing to eat, but at least he had warmth. At least for a bit. He said that it was so dark outside and it started to snow again. He found a set of stairs toward the back of the house on the first floor. He opened it and went down the creaking steps. He smelled old wine. And when he looked, wine bottles were all over the floor, smashed to smithereens, but he could smell it. He looked up toward the top with the candle that he had found on the mantel. And there was a bottle of wine. Old, dusty. He was too short to reach it, so he saw another shelf. He pulled it over as best as he could. It was heavy, well made. He reached up and grabbed the glass bottle, and then he heard, Sarah. Sarah. Who's there? His plan was to get the bottle of wine, drink it, and warm himself up. Even with the fire in the big hearth, it was still so cold. I'm just taking this bottle of wine. I don't have any intentions of doing anything bad in here. I don't know, Sarah. Marcus grabbed the bottle of wine and shoved it into his pocket of his coat. He went back upstairs to the room where the fire was burning. It was pitch dark, except for the gray sky outside that made it almost look like daylight. You know that look. Thank you, Paul. What had extinguished the fire? The doors were closed. There were planks over some of the windows. Possibly a little bit of wind could get in, but nothing could have blown out the fire that he had built. When he went down to the basement, it was raging. He stood there. He looked around him. Sarah. Sarah. She's still here. Marcus thought he was hallucinating. He sat down next to the fire because there was still a little bit of warmth coming from the logs. And then he heard it again. Sarah. Sarah. She's still here. She won't let me leave. Much to Marcus's horror, and after what he saw, he ran in the dead of night from the McPike house. As he was sitting on the floor getting ready to open the bottle of wine, a woman peered around the doorway. There you are. Hi, Sarah. Hi. Marcus hightailed it out of there as fast as he could, and he never looked back. Years passed. He ended up getting on the straight and narrow. A preacher in town took him in, taught him a trade of carpentry. Marcus ended up marrying, having children. But every time that he saw the Pike House in the distance, and his wife would make a comment about how beautiful that it was, he said, "Mary, there's nothing beautiful about that house." Chapter 4. The Ledukes arrive. The new caretakers. Tell me, what drives someone to enter a house of horrors? In 1994, Sharon and George Leduc won the auction for $15,000 to purchase the McPike House. Within 6 weeks of just being there, Sharon had her first encounter in the mansion. While gardening, she saw a man in a striped shirt, and he was watching her from the second floor window. She ran around the side of the house and grabbed her husband. George! George, come here! There's someone upstairs in our house! What? Yes! Look! George looked up to the top window on the third floor. He didn't see anything. He asked Sharon to tell him exactly what she saw. I saw a man, and he was in a striped shirt and a tie, and he was watching me from the third floor window. Babe, moving is a very stressful thing. You don't believe me, do you? You don't believe that I saw it. I think you're tired and exhausted, and I think my wife deserves a cone of ice cream. What do you think? I'll take the ice cream, but I'm telling you what I saw. I saw a man in a striped shirt, and he had gray hair, and he didn't look kind. She saw him again, $9. This time she was sitting on the porch. George had installed a porch swing. She loved it. She had her favorite cozy blanket, her pillow. She was reading a good book. She looked out toward the garden, and that's when she saw him again. A striped shirt, the tie. He was so clear, so visible. Hello? She got up from the swing and walked out across the yard to the garden. The man just stared at her. Hello? Who are you? The man looked at her once and then turned and walked away, disappearing into the shrubs. She told George about it again, but he insisted perhaps it was the electricity guy that came by and read the meters, or something like that. There was no man standing in the yard. George, you're starting to make me mad. I know what I saw. Tell me again. You're patronizing me, and you're being very condescending, and I you know what, forget it. The next day, she went into town to the local library. She asked for every bit of information that she could find on the McPike house, which the librarian was perfectly willing to tell her about. Oh, that mansion. It is beautiful, but I do hear things about it. Why are you asking? We purchased it about a month ago. Well, no, I've lost concept of time. I guess it was longer than that. I guess we've almost been there 2 months. And have you seen things there? Is there any pictures of the McPike house? Is there, any pictures of the owner or... Oh, I'm sure there is. Let me see. She took Sharon back to a dark room, flicked on the light. The fluorescent bulbs were yellow and buzzed. She sat down. The librarian bought her some books and some newspapers. So, when you purchased it from the man that used to live there. And his name was, I'm trying to remember what it was. Paul something. Sharon flipped open the book and turned to a page, and she froze. Fear creeping up her spine. Her eyes widened. Paul Lassinger. Yes, that's it. Paul Lassinger. You know what? I was trying to remember it, but Lord save me. When you get to be in your 60s, honey, your brain just goes. I mean, I have to write down everything on a sheet of paper, and even then, sometimes I forget it. Sharon didn't mean to be rude. That was never her intention. But she was staring at a picture. It was at the McPike mansion. Paul Lassinger was standing in the front yard beside a post that read, "Boarding, rooms for rent, inquire within." And Mr. Lassinger had a striped shirt on and a tie. And he had gray hair. Sharon went back home. She was very, very eager to talk to George. He came in that night. She didn't say anything. She just laid the book in front of him and flipped the page. What is this? It's our house. Okay. Do you see the man? The man right there, standing by the post that says boarding? Yeah. That's who I've seen, George. I'm seeing Paul Lassinger. Paul was beginning to make his presence known, not just to Sharon, but also to Paul. A few weeks later, George was upstairs in the bathroom, and he was shaving. They were going out to dinner. All Sharon talked about was Paul Lassinger and the former owner of it before him. Paul was shaving. When he looked up in the mirror, he saw his reflection. But behind him, he saw something else. A man with deep, hollow eyes, wearing a striped shirt and a tie with gray hair. He threw his razor down and ran down the steps. "Sharon!" "Yes, what is it?" I just saw him. You saw who? The man, Paul Lessinger. Sharon took off out of her bedroom, ran up the stairs to the 3rd floor. She looked in the bathroom. Nothing was there. You believe me now, don't you? You believe me now? Yes. Yes, I believe you. Chapter 5. Sarah Wells, the servant who never left. What binds a soul to serve beyond death? Three months later, life had changed quite considerably for Sharon and George. She was pregnant. She was overjoyed, happy. George was at least acknowledging that he saw the striped man. One morning, she woke up. She got out of bed, went and did her womanly things, and then she came out of the bedroom. She walked down to this room that she was planning on making the nursery. It was lovely. It caught the morning light. She couldn't wait to see it painted pink. Somehow she just knew that she was having a girl. George had brought up a full mirror on a pedestal. She had requested it. She was standing in front of it now. Sharon froze. Her eyes closed as she felt warm arms embracing her from behind. I thought you went to work. There was no response. The touch was not the cold touch of the grave, but a gentle, loving hug. You really should get to work. I've got a lot of work to do on this nursery. Hey, will you go into town with me this weekend and we can find the right color, the right shade of pink? Still, no response. She opened her eyes, and to her horror, she was standing alone. But she could still feel the embrace, could still feel the hands on her swollen belly. It terrified her. At first, but then she began to actually feel comforted every morning. When she would walk to the nursery, she would feel those arms embrace her. She didn't know why, but she started calling her invisible companion Sarah. Oh, Sarah, it was a tough night. This little girl is kicking me like crazy. Oh, Sarah. Sometimes I wonder what this mansion must have been like back before it was destroyed. It's gonna take forever for George and I to try to pull this together. And she would just stand there as her belly was rubbed. She didn't dare tell George. She didn't want him to know. The revelation came, though, when a man returned stolen books to the mansion. He was an older man in his 60s, and he said that when he was a little boy, that he had walked in the mansion with his mom and sister, and they were just looking around, and he saw some books just lying abandoned on the floor. He picked them up and took them home with him. It was the history of the McPike mansion. Inside one of the inscriptions, as Sharon looked at it later that night, she froze. The man had been very sorry for what he did, and when he heard that another family was living there, he thought that perhaps the new owners would enjoy it. She was sitting on the couch, a fire gently roaring in the fireplace, rubbing her belly, when she saw an inscription on the inside of the book. And it said, "Property of Sarah Wells, Mount Lookout, 1889. She began to research further. One of the books was a ledger, and on the front of it, it said McPike. She opened it up and began to look. There were names of servants for decades. There was one in particular that caught her attention, though. It was on the 3rd page. Again, the name, Sarah Wells. Sarah had been Henry's personal servant. It was written right beside her name, Mr. McPike's personal maid. As Sharon began asking more questions about Sarah, they would talk about her being known for wearing lilac perfume. Sarah was very beautiful, and an admirer would treat her to the lilac perfume. No one knows who that admirer was. She died, forgotten in the poorhouse in 1923. For some reason, Sarah was cast out of the McPike house. Why? Why was she cast out? Thing is, her spirit returned to the only place that she ever really knew. As soon as Sharon read this, lilac scents began to appear throughout the mansion, and they always seemed to be the strongest on the 3rd floor. Sharon didn't feel threatened by her. In fact, she said, Sarah protects her eternal home. Those who show disrespect to her have been known to find equipment falling mysteriously. There was one investigator that we'll get into later that reported, I was walking upstairs on the 3rd floor of the mansion. The boards were very loose. I felt a hand steer me away from rotten floorboards, and I heard the name Sarah. I think Sarah saved my life. I don't think she's a bad spirit. I think maybe her beauty was a curse. We are enjoying this story tonight, are we? I've seen no one come up in the box. It is a good one. Let's take an intermission, and when we come back, I will continue reading The McPike Mansion. See you soon. What is everyone thinking of this story? Oh, glad you like it. Hey, Francic, how are you? Wonderful, Nana Sherry. I wish I could sew. Thank you, Angie. Thank you. Thank you, Ash Marie. Yep, let's hit 200K before we start the second half. We can do it. Thank you for reaching the first live goal of the evening. Much appreciated. So one thing that I am really enjoying with doing the 50 states, the most haunted houses in the 50 states, is, you know, there were so many stories that I never knew existed. I never knew it, had no freaking clue. And now that I am doing this, you know, doing the research and everything, it is just wonderful. I love it so much. Oh, I bet so, Nana Sherry. Thank you for sharing the live. Thank you, Nikki Monroe. Did her phone just auto zoom or am I tripping? Nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me at all. Hello, Billy73. I was in here, I forget what night it was, but it was one night that I was in here, and you know, the Wheel of Fate has a very distinctive, the Wheel of Fate has a very distinctive sound. So I was sitting here and I was putting on my makeup, getting ready for the show, had my music going, and my music went down a little bit, and then I heard that sound, and I was just like, you have to wait till Friday. But it was that distinctive sound, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Not at all. Oh no! Little green frogs! Oh my gosh! Oh, absolutely, Magic Moon. It never does. Hey, Casper! How are you? Hey, Ree. Hey, Manny, 31. Hey, Melissa. Oh, you are most welcome. There is no way that I would be able to just tap something in and read it. I am so picky, so particular. I know what I like. I know what my fans are going to like. I know what my night dwellers are going to like. And so I am probably um, like over the top about it. But I want to make sure that the stories are the best that it can be. Hey, Hopi Love, Little Butterfly. How are you? Let me see. Let's do this. We have a request in the guest box. The only thing that I request, everyone, is when you come up in the box that you're telling a story. This is for Paranormal Wednesday, so that's what we want to hear. We want to hear scary things, okay? Anything other than that, maybe that can be shared in a meet and greet, or something like that. But tonight, we want to hear scary stories, paranormal experiences. Thank you. All right, let's see who we have. All right, Gracie is in the box. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Hello, Gracie.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am hanging in there. I'm ready to hear a story.
Okay. All right. So, a few years ago, I was a CNA at a nursing home, and I worked on the dementia unit.
Okay.
So all of my residents they couldn't take care of themselves anymore. I had to do it all for them, or the other nurses or CNAs.
Yeah.
And so I had a resident who, sorry, I'm like all over the place. I don't know why this is more nerve-wracking the second time than it is the first time.
You're great. We love you.
Okay, so I had a resident. She also had, let me add, they can be very combative, right? So,
right.
If you think about it, they don't remember most things. So most of the time, they wake up, they don't know where they are. They don't know who they're surrounded by. Okay, so it's when somebody comes up to them, even with like a gentle tone, and wants to take care of them, it's like they're like, I don't know who you are, stay away from me. I would probably be the same way.
Yeah.
So, and they don't want people in their rooms.
Right.
So I had gone into somebody's room and was picking out her pajamas, was gonna get her ready for bed. I brought her in there with me, and I'm picking out her pajamas, and I feel somebody tug on my hair, and I'm thinking it's my resident. I'll call her Ellen.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, please don't do that. It's not very nice. I'm not turning around to look at her. Just like letting her do her thing as I'm grabbing her stuff to take care of her. And then I feel my scrub top being tugged on, like really hard. And I turn around and nobody's in the room anymore. She wasn't in there.
Oh, gosh.
And so I go to the nurse's station. find my coworker. I'm like, do you know where Ellen is? She's like, yeah, she's sitting right in the living room. I was like, okay, well, she was supposed to just be with me. And she's like, why? You look a little like confused. And I was like, yeah, that's because someone was just tugging on my hair and tugging on my scrub top in there.
Oh
And
my
I thought it was
gosh.
Ellen, but she wasn't in there with me.
Oh, wow.
And she, this giant grin grows on her face, and she's looking at me like she knows something. And I'm like, what? Why are you looking at me like that? And she was like, the woman who used to be in that room, she hated people being in her room. She didn't like us going in there. That was her space. She didn't like it.
Yeah.
And she was like, she used to try to get us out. And I was like, okay. She's like, and she used to do that by grabbing our scrub tops and trying to yank us out.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm looking at her, I'm like, you're messing with me. She's like, no, I swear, ask Brad. Brad is the nurse when he comes in for the next shift.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and Courtney, my coworker, is like, Brad, do you remember the woman that passed in 209? The woman before that? He was like, yes, I remember. She's like, do you remember what she used to do to try to get us out of the room? He was like, yeah, she would pull us by our scrub tops. He had no idea any of this happened. So that's how I was like, all right, well, anyway, if you don't need anything more from me, I'm gonna go home now.
Yes. That is
Yeah,
creepy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I know there's a bunch of times, but I'll just tell one more because this one's been on my
No, go
mind because of
ahead.
this,
Go ahead. I love your stories.
a few years around this time, so I've been thinking of her. I had this woman, cute little thing. She's like 4'10". She's so cute. Loved her. She hated us bringing her into the bathroom,
Oh.
which again, understandable. I wouldn't want a stranger coming into the bathroom with me. She's seen me hundreds of times, but she doesn't remember me. You know, her dementia's
That's
very
so
bad.
sad. Yeah.
So she hated me bringing her into the bathroom or anybody. And when she was on hospice, end of life care, she was laying in bed, looking up at the ceiling, and I was walking past her room to go find somebody else, but I heard her like whispering. So I go in there, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she's like, Jesus, I see Jesus, I see Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you see Jesus? And she's like, yeah, he's looking at me. She's like, he's with the angels. She was a huge Christian her
Yeah.
entire life.
Yeah.
Loved it. She's just repeating over and over to me, I see him, and he's with the angels, and he's telling me I need to come with him. And she's like, she seems happy.
Yeah.
She seems happy. I've taken care of this woman for a long time, and I had never seen her as happy as she looked as when she was telling me that Jesus was telling her to come with her.
Right.
And I'm gonna try not to get cried.
Right.
Okay. So she's like, can I please go with him? And I'm like,
Oh.
Okay. I was like, do you want to go with him? She's like, I really, really want to go with him. And, you know, I'd seen this woman, I had a relationship with her, and I loved her dearly, but she didn't have a good quality of life. And so I just wanted her to be happy. I said, if you want to go with him, and you go with him, but I just want to tell you that I'm going to miss you a lot, okay?
Oh.
And she said, why? And I was like, because I love you. And she's like, oh, honey, I love you too. And I chatted with her for a little while longer, and she was just telling me about Jesus, and I had to go. About an hour later, she had passed away.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So I cried the whole way home. And once I got home, I was about to get in the shower, so I'm in the bathroom that she hated that I went in with her.
Mm-hmm.
There was this thing that used to hang on my mirror. It was like a little hook, and it had hung there for, years. I never moved it. And I'm about to step in the shower when this hook goes flying off of the mirror and hits the wall.
Oh my gosh.
I immediately screamed and I covered myself in a towel. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I put the thing back on the mirror and I'm tapping it, trying to get it to do what it just did.
Yeah.
Seeing if I don't know. I have no idea. But I immediately I'm like, is this your way of getting back at me? I'm in the shower, I'm about to get in the shower. Is this your way of getting back at me? But it's if you wanted to say hi to me, there was the kitchen, the living room, my room. We could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, anything but the bathroom. That's too funny.
Yeah, I felt like that was just her little way of just saying she was okay. And
she sounds precious.
She was. Yeah, I loved her so much. So
oh,
those are my stories. So
what stories? I've got chills, just like the last time. Wow, that is crazy. The first story, when you were in there, was it nighttime when you were in there? Was it during the day? The one that would pull your shirt and pull your hair?
Yeah, it was probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was, I had 34 residents.
Yeah.
So, and it would be me and one or two other CNAs. We were really understaffed. So I had to go. I had to get them in their pajamas and just get them. So I was immediately, when I got there at 3, I was I was picking out her stuff. And when I'm in the zone, I'm not really just, I knew I brought her in there with me. So I thought she was in there with me, but no, she wasn't. She had left. She wandered out when I was looking for her stuff.
That is too scary. At the time, did it scare you? Did you did it really shake you up? Were you nervous and shaking when you were telling the story to the other nurse?
Yeah, I was really freaked out. And I didn't like the way
I would be too.
I was really freaked out. I didn't like the way my coworker was grinning at me. I was like, is this something funny? Because I'm really scared.
Yeah, it's your turn. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gracie's stories, everybody. They gave chills, did they not? You are most welcome. Love you. Thank you for being a night dweller.
Yep. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. Wow. That is so creepy. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing with us, Gracie. So appreciated. Anyone else? We're not quite at 200K yet. I'm not starting the second portion until then. So this would be the perfect time to come up in the box. Gracie is amazing. Oh my goodness. While we are waiting to hit 200K, we've got to at least get that. I wanted to just mention a couple things. Again, tomorrow is my birthday, and I am taking the full day off from work, off from the live, just to have a day. So I will not be on tomorrow night, but I will be back Friday night for the Wheel of Fate. Chariot of Fire in the box. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too. when I catch your lives, I love them.
Awesome. Very happy to hear.
So I have I don't know if it's, some people may find it scary.
Okay.
It was more it's more about a deep connection with people.
Okay.
Years ago, I lived in the UK with my father's sister.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Derby, England. And she and I had a very, very close relationship. She never had a daughter. Excuse me, when I moved there, she took me in as her daughter. She had 2 sons, my cousins, and me. And we just, even since childhood, I would sit and write her letters. We had a deep connection. We always did, like a psychic connection.
Yeah.
And I moved back to the States. I missed my family. I missed home, I guess.
Yeah.
But I ended up moving back to the States. And life moves on. We kind of like not lost track of each other, but we didn't stay in contact.
Yeah.
And, I regret that, but we didn't. So, a few years ago, well, I'd say about 4 years ago. Yeah, about 4 years ago. I started calling my mother. I was obsessed with my aunt. My Aunt Sheila had moved, and I didn't have her contact information.
Mm-hmm.
And I was obsessed with it. Now, I didn't know at the time that my mother was suffering. She had started suffering from symptoms of Alzheimer's, so she was forgetful.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time, right? I was in New York, she was in Florida.
I see.
And she kept forgetting. I said, please, I need Aunt Sheila's every single night for a week. I kept calling saying, I need Aunt Sheila's number. Mom, you don't understand. I need to speak with Aunt Sheila. This is very important. Please get her number from Michael, my brother.
Right.
And every day I was calling her, please get Aunt Sheila's number from Michael. Please, please. I'm begging, please, Mom. I didn't realize that she was, losing her memory.
Mm-hmm.
And I was becoming upset with her.
Yeah.
And it was for a full week that I was just obsessed with this.
Yeah.
I don't speak with my brother, so I could not call him directly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was depending on Mom to get the number for me. And that Sunday, my mom called me. I'm going to get upset right now.
Oh.
My mom called me and said, I'm so sorry, but your Aunt Sheila passed away.
Oh.
So
that's probably why you felt that urgency to speak to her, wasn't it?
Yes. It absolutely is. And, it's a rare thing in life when you have that psychic spiritual connection with someone.
Absolutely.
And it's happened a couple of other times in my life. So the funny part of this story is that my mother called all my siblings. My mother was scared to death.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I think your sister is a witch. I think your sister is psychic.
Oh.
I think your sister is a medium of some kind.
Right.
She predicted your aunt's death. And I'm like, I did not predict anyone's death.
You just felt that urgency to reach out and contact her.
Yes. And I hadn't spoken to her in several years.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Wow.
some people, excuse me, some people find that story scary. My mother found it scary, obviously.
It just kind of shows me, I think it's beautiful. I think that it can be spooky to some, but, I've had similar things that have happened like that, and it just astounds me. I'm like, that is the reason that I felt like I had to reach out to her. She was passing, and I didn't know, or something like that. So I completely get it.
It's like a confirmation of
Yes.
of afterlife.
Your bond? absolutely crossing the boundaries.
Well, I'm an empath. I am an empath.
Yeah.
But, like, I found it funny that my mother was so freaked. The next thing you know, I get a phone call from my brother. You know, you really freaked mom out. You know, I'm really sorry about that. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so now all my siblings think I can predict death. They're so crazy.
Right. Yeah. I mean I think it's beautiful. I think that perhaps your aunt was even thinking about you, and she just wanted you to know that she was thinking about you, and that she had crossed over, and that everything was fine. Everything was perfectly fine. I think it's beautiful.
It's like the universe was letting me know that whole week before that I was going to lose.
And kind of preparing you for it. When you say, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I think it's beautiful. I know that there is, when we draw that last breath, that isn't the end. I know that. 100%.
it was a definite confirmation for me.
Yeah.
So,
And how have you felt since that happened? Has that kind of, what has that done for you?
she's watching over me. She's one of my angels.
Yeah.
I feel her, and
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
but I mean, the comical part is, I don't want, the comical part is, if you're not an empath, like I happen to be a member of a family, but are a bunch of insensitive folks.
Right.
So to be an empath, and I'm the middle child, and I'm like the
You just stand out in every way.
yeah, I'm like the black sheep, whatever, So now apparently I can predict death. I don't know.
Hey, use that to your advantage. I'd be like, watch it.
Lord.
Watch
Thank
it.
you so much.
You are most welcome. Most
I mean,
welcome.
I know it's not scary to most of us here, but I think some people are freaked out by it.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people would be, but for those of us who know better, it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Thank
So good
you.
to finally put a
Guess what?
face to
Guess
the
what?
name.
You're at 210. You're at 210.
Yay! Yay, yay, yay. If nobody else comes in, I'll finish reading this story.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Loved
All right,
it.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, she's so sweet. Oh my goodness. I tell you, my night dwellers, every single one of them, you are just above and beyond. You're just absolutely amazing. I feel so blessed to have such a wonderful family. A wonderful family. Anyone else that would like to step up in the box? Isn't she great, Julie? Yes, Gracie. So we've heard from Gracie. She is just darling. And then we heard from Chariot of Fire. Love her. One thing that I also love about, not just hearing the paranormal stories, meeting my night dwellers, actually getting to put faces to a name or a voice to a name. So I would like to meet all of you, to be honest. In fact, we'll be doing a meet and greet here soon, maybe Friday night. I'll talk with my night watchers and see. But let's go ahead and get back into story time. And if I see you pop up in the box, then I will go ahead and let you speak. Sounds like a deal? We all have something creepy that has happened to us. We all have something that cannot be explained. It's just fact. And this is a safe, warm, loving environment. There is no judgment here. You just come in this live and you just be yourself. And you are safe to share your experience. Not only would it thrill us, but it would be something that you would release and you would be like, you know what? That wasn't so bad. So the portal is still open. Chapter 6, the wine cellar. Many believe that it is the portal to the beyond. What terrifies even the dead? I'm glad you did too. The wine cellar is where reality wears thin, night dwellers. Every investigator speaks of crushing surveillance, temperatures drops of 30 degrees, and electrical charges that make hair stand on end. In 1999, Renee Cruz was leading a tour when a white mist suddenly manifested in the cellar. First person. I had always looked at the McPike Mansion since I was just a little girl. And it always held such a sense of wonder for me. I had heard the stories about it being haunted and, what have you. And the family that currently owned the house, when they, stated that they were going to open it up to ghost tours and things like that, I was very excited about it. And I remember that I met Sharon and George, and I just walked up to him and I said, hey, can I be a tour guide here? And they were very warm, very welcoming, and they were like, yeah, absolutely. And I asked them what was required, and they said the only thing that we require is that you know the history of the house, from the very beginning to current. So, make sure that you do your research. So I did, and I had to pass a little test. And I remember Sharon was sitting at her table and she said, okay, tell me about the first owner. So I told her about Henry. And then she said, okay, tell me about the second owner. So I told her about Phil. And then she's like, what are some things that have happened? And I told her, and she said, you're hired. So I remember that it was 1999. I was still in high school, but I was able to do this on the weekends. And I remember I had a group of 5 people. And so I was leading a tour down to the cellar. And while we were down there, there was just this white mist that suddenly just manifested right there in front of us. And I remember that it moved with purpose. And I remember that there was a little girl who cried out and she was scared, and her mom picked her up in her arms. But this mist was circling our group. And when it enveloped us, I don't know if it was really fear that I felt, because I knew that the Underground Railroad was part of the McPike Mansion, but what I did feel was sadness, a lot of sadness. And as it was wrapping around us and enveloping us, I felt like I was being touched by cold electricity, like You know how sometimes you'll just feel like little sparks on your skin? That is how it felt in the cellar. And I remember that I heard voices trying to communicate with us. Another man that was there, he said that he heard the exact same thing. So I ended up leaving because I, went to college, but I will never forget my experience of being a tour guide at the McPike Mansion. It was great. What she didn't say was that the mist followed them to the exit, then stopped at the threshold, as if it was bound to that chamber. Apparently, whatever is down there, whether it was runaway slaves from the Underground Railroad or what have you, they cannot cross over. The cellar serves as a gathering place for spirits trapped between the worlds, a supernatural court where Henry McPike holds dominion over the damned. Chapter 7. The family returns. Generations of ghost. Can blood ties transcend death? The mansion houses multiple generations of McPikes. Eleanor appears at the parlor, eternally preparing for guests. Eleanor was beautiful, refined. She was a perfect hostess. Lydia, Henry's mother, is the spiritual matriarch who demands acknowledgement from visitors. I'll tell you about that in a moment. James and his wife Jenny are the tricksters. Jenny delights in touching hair and tugging clothing, Gracie. First person, Carla. I went with my mom, who is a psychic, to a ghost tour of the McPike Mansion. And I just remember we were listening to the tour guide as she was telling us things. And I remember on the way there, my mom was all excited. She had her notebook handy, and she's like, I'm going to make contact with, the people in the house, and this is going to be awesome. And granted that my mom was a very gifted psychic. She could indeed see things, but I never did. So, and I didn't want that gift, I will definitely say, but we were downstairs toward the back of the hallway where the grand room is with the fireplace and everything. And I kept hearing someone saying, move out of my way. And I thought that's kind of rude. And, so I turned and I looked behind me and I saw this woman, and she wasn't looking at me. She was paying attention to the tour guide. And so I looked at my mom and she's like, what? And I said, did you hear that? And she goes, hear what? And so I told her, I said, I heard someone that told me to move out of their way. And so the tour guide wasn't talking about Lydia. She was talking about Eleanor. And apparently, from what I've heard, Eleanor and Lydia did not get along real well. They just did not. They were always trying to compete and kind of speak over the other, and it was just very, very interesting. So I'm standing there and I'm listening to the tour guide, and she said something that was funny, and I remember someone laughed, and I heard, "Get out of my way." And I turned and I looked around behind me again, and I didn't see anything. And then the tour guide says, "Now, I'm warning you, with me telling stories of Eleanor the way that I am, if Miss Lydia, Henry's mother, is listening, she's probably not liking that I'm not talking about her." And it was crazy because, number one, I never heard anybody, before ever. And I go to this McPike house. Number two, my mom was offended because apparently Lydia didn't speak to her. She told me to get out of her way. And she sounded pretty forceful. Certainly if I had seen her, I would have got out of the way. But I just think it's kind of comical, that still to this day, Lydia doesn't like Eleanor being spoken about. She wants all the attention on her. So. Emmy, first person. My husband and I had just gotten married, and I don't know, I guess we kind of had a different honeymoon from other couples, but he and I both are very interested in the paranormal. And so I know more about the paranormal, growing up in the UK. My husband is from Texas, so, he said they had a lot of paranormal there. But I remember we went to the McPike mansion, and while we were there, we were going up the steps to the second floor, and I just kept feeling someone tugging my dress, touching my hair. My husband, Thomas, said he felt someone tug his hair too. And I remember the tour guide talking about James and his wife, Jenny. I don't know what relation that they were to Henry. Perhaps James was his son, Jenny was his wife. I don't exactly know, but they're quite mischievous. Mary, Henry's first wife, who died before the mansion's completion, appears most often to children. She was lovely. She was very excited about the mansion and seeing it. In the times that she did walk in, she would just say, "Henry, my, this is such a house, and I love it, my darling, and I want to fill it with the pitter-patter of little feet." But she was never able to realize that dream. When Mary manifests again, Eleanor becomes agitated, who is the second wife of Mary. Temperatures drop and objects fall from shelves. Death didn't resolve their complicated relationships. Eternity has only intensified them. First person, Becky Short. I was a tour guide, and I worked the night shift. We actually have more night visitors than we do daytime visitors. So I was working the night shift, and I was working with this guy named Andy. And he was pretty new there, and he was still learning the story about Henry and Eleanor and Lydia and Mary. And so he was just talking about Eleanor, and he was talking about, that, she was such a grand hostess. And I was, giving him a little bit of feedback. I said, when you're talking to your tour group, make sure that you, pronunciate your words and that you're very articulate and everything. And he goes, Eleanor was the perfect hostess. And about that time, we felt something shaking behind us. And I guess maybe the current owners of it, who were letting it be shown, she had collected these little porcelain teacups from wherever she could find them. And so there were teacups there. And I was laughing because I thought it was so funny. And the next thing I know, I said, watch out. Lydia doesn't like it when you talk about Eleanor, and Eleanor doesn't like it when you talk about Mary. And the whole bottom shelf, every china cup fell off into the floor. It's a cool house. It's fun. I think it's kind of cool, the rivalry at McPike Mansion. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Even in the ghost realm, even in the spiritual realm, there's still animosity. Chapter 8, Encounters with the Damned. What happens when the living enter the realm of the dead? Detective Michael Rodriguez's experience in 2003 is interesting. All of our equipment died simultaneously from the moment that we entered the house. He's a paranormal detective. We heard heavy boots pacing above us and then a clear voice. It was just as clear as day. It said, "Get out of my house." We didn't need to be told twice. Maybe I'm not cut out for the life of a paranormal investigator. Documentary filmmaker David Chin spent a night in 2012. It was stupid. I don't know why we did it. We were college students, didn't have a grain of sense in our heads. And I wanted to make a documentary about McPike Mansion. I had heard about the hauntings and the different spirits that were there. I think one thing that fascinated me more was the Underground Railroad that was supposedly built under this house. So I went in there with my team, and I don't know what possessed me, but we decided that we were gonna be in the wine cellar. And I remember it was around 3 a.m. And I just remember waking up around 3 a.m. and hearing voices. They just filled the air and they were talking all at once. Some of the things that I heard were, "Let us out." Another one I heard was, "We can't breathe." Another one that I heard was, it was a woman, and she was crying, and she said, "Don't leave me now. We made it all the way here. Don't leave me now, Moses." I remember that my sound engineer, he heard some other things too. And then I think probably the final straw for us was one of the ladies who was with us. She went up to the second floor. She said she just kept feeling that something was on the second floor. And she said that when she walked up the steps and entered the hallway to the left, she started walking down because she heard a woman crying. And as she neared this door, the door suddenly burst open, and this woman, very dark woman, came bursting out, running down the hallway after him and saying, "Give me my Toby, give me Toby. Where is Toby? Where did you take him?" I just remember there being a lot of shadows in this place and lots of screaming and crying. And the one thing that I remember is just sadness. There was a lot of sadness, and I could feel anger. Honestly, I think what it was I think it was the people who were hiding beneath the house in the Underground Railroad. I think they were desperate. I think that they wanted to get out. I've heard some stories that are just absolutely horrifying. People died in the Underground Railroad. Some people, they were so close to the promised land, and they just, they didn't make it. Photographs reveal things invisible to the naked eye. And in 2015, a woman who was visiting the McPike Mansion for a interior design idea saw something she'll never forget. First person. I worked for a architectural magazine. I can't disclose the name, but it's a big one. And a couple years later, I decided to open up my own interior design firm. And I had a lady that approached me that lived in Alton, and she wanted a exact replica of the descending steps in the McPike Mansion. So I was very easy to make an appointment. I went in there and I had my camera with me, and I just started taking shots of the staircase and the chandelier and everything. The current owners of it at that time stated that, they were working on trying to restore it to its former glory, but that it would literally take a fortune to do that. So I took the pictures that I needed. I went home, and I had just entered my apartment, and my 8-year-old daughter, Emma, was there. And she asked me where I'd been, and I told her that I had been at a mansion and got some really cool pictures, and did she want to look at them with me? So we're sitting in the kitchen, and I start pulling out these photos, and on the steps was a woman, and she was dressed in a Victorian dress, and she was descending the steps. And what is so scary is my daughter Emma, she looked at the pictures and she goes, "Mommy, in this one she's on this step, and in this one she's on the next step, and then on the next one she's on the next step. It's like she was coming towards you, Mommy." And I just froze because it was true. And I just looked at it, and I even went so far as to contact the owner and told her that I had some pictures that she might find very interesting. And I told her that it was a woman and that she was descending the steps, and she responded with, "Oh, no, I don't need to see him. We see her all the time." So I thought that was very interesting. The next encounter is of a young girl, Renee. She was 10 at the time. My daughter doesn't really like to talk on camera, so I'll tell you what she experienced. But we went to the McPike Mansion. Renee has exhibited signs of being gifted in the realm of the other world, I guess you can say. She sees things, she says people talk to her, and at first I just thought, it's just, she wants attention, or whatever. But she asked me if she could go to the McPike Mansion, and it was on Halloween. And so there was a ghost tour there, so I said, yeah, absolutely, we could do that. And so Renee is a different child. I love her extremely, but she's just very quiet and very introverted. But we were walking downstairs, and she was in the music room at the end of the hallway, and she was talking to someone. And I just walked up behind her because the tour guide group was coming closer, and I really didn't want her to get caught, doing something she shouldn't do. So I said, Renee, come back over here with me, stay with the tours. And she said, Mommy, I'm talking to the lady who smells like lavender. Leave me alone. So, yeah. So I think that my daughter was possibly talking with Sarah. From what I understand, she was a servant to Henry and Eleanor. Apparently very pretty, and she wore lavender. Chapter 9. The investigators arrive. What happens when science meets the supernatural? In 2001, Troy Taylor's team arrived with $50,000 worth of equipment. Their readings went insane in the McPike Mansion. EMF spikes, 40-degree temperature variations, and photographs showing figures in empty hallways and doorways. They captured over 200 distinct voice prints, conversations in multiple languages, spirits that were even discussing the investigators as curiosities. One picked up, "Who are they? Who are they? Why are they here?" On the third night, every piece of that $50,000 equipment activated simultaneously as frost formed on the equipment and destroyed it. Another investigative team walked in, and around 12 p.m. that afternoon, they started bringing everything in. They walked toward the back of the house where the music room was, and they picked up this. They swear that it was Henry McPike himself, his voice captured on digital equipment. It said, "You are a guest in my house. Behave accordingly, or Months later, while reviewing thousands of photographs, they discovered figures from the mansion's past standing behind them in every image. The dead had been studying the living. Chapter 10, The Eternal Guardians. The Truth Revealed. What if the McPike Mansion was never meant for the living? The McPike Mansion sits upon a convergence of spiritual energy, drawing the restless dead, a supernatural vortex that draws them in. Henry unknowingly constructed a sanctuary for souls caught between worlds. I told you earlier in the story that he was a believer in the paranormal, although he never said exactly why. In that world, Sarah serves as the caretaker. Paul, the second owner of the McPike Mansion, is the gatekeeper. And the McPike family is the aristocracy. But Henry has evolved beyond a ghost. I love the cherries. I'm really into cherry print lately. He's become the mansion's consciousness. The Ludicks aren't owners but chosen stewards of the house. They believe that they have been chosen to be the owners there. Each restoration strengthens the mansion's power as a bridge between worlds. The mansion's influence spreads across Alton. It feeds on visitors' psychic energy, growing stronger with each encounter. Every photograph, every story told, every person who dreams of its mysteries only adds to its power. The McPike Mansion is not haunted. It's alive. There's a difference. It's not a relic of the past, but a harbinger of the future, where the boundary between life and death dissolves entirely. The mansion stands eternal, collecting souls, waiting for the next curious visitor to cross its threshold. The dead, night dwellers, never truly die, and the living never truly leave. And so ends another tale from the Night Realm. Did you like it? Did it scare you? The McPike Mansion continues growing stronger, collecting souls like a supernatural treasure chest. But remember, every story I tell plants seeds in your dreams. Tonight, you may find yourself walking Mount Lookout's halls, catching lilac scents, hearing phantom footsteps in your own home. Sleep well, my night dwellers, if you can. For in the darkest hours before dawn, the ghost of the McPike mansion may follow my voice into your very souls. In shadows where nightmares are born, I weave tales of the lost and forlorn. Each word that I speak, each story I tell, binds your soul to my supernatural spell. The McPike mansion stands tall in your mind, its ghost and secrets forever entwined, with dreams where terror takes hold and dark stories refuse to grow old. I am the queen of the realm of night, where phantoms dance in pale moonlight. My voice unlocks the door to horrors that shake you to the core. Through whispers and shadows I creep, into corners where rational minds sleep. I plant dark seeds in your soul, where nightmares fight for control. You came seeing stories, left with much more. My tales follow you home and they seep under your door. They live in your dreams, hide in your fears. They'll haunt you through months, torment you through years. For I am the Night Queen, eternal and vast. My kingdom of terror forever will last. Each night dweller bound to my throne, in darkness together, yet eternally alone. My stories burrow deep, where they cannot flee. And in the darkest corridors of your nightmares, you don't belong to the McPike mansion. You belong to me. You too. I love you all. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I will see you Friday night for the Wheel of Fate.